All right, on to this. An independent investigation into allegations of racism at the Pretoria Girls High School has recommended that action be taken against the principal, the HR manager and other officials. The Gauteng Education Department sanctioned the probe following claims of bullying at the school, which led to the suspension of 12 white girls. Now, they were linked to a WhatsApp group chat which allegedly contained racial undertones. Gauteng Education MEC Matome Chiloane joins us now for more on the action that will be taken. MEC, a good evening to you. Thank you for your time. I know it's been a very busy day, and you did, of course, hold a press briefing where you've highlighted really some of the findings of the investigation that you have been running. A standout for me, though, and I must say this really was quite stark, the finding by the attorney looking into the matter that white teachers or some white teachers don't greet black employees. I mean, that's a really critical point, and it was made quite emphatically. Why was that important for you to highlight?
Well, for the investigating the law firm. Oh, yes, good evening to you and good evening to your viewers, firstly. My apology for that. Look, the purpose of flagging it is to demonstrate that there is a general lack of cohesion in the administration, meaning the employees. But it's not what we investigated. We're not interested in greetings. We're just flagging that there is a culture of really a subtle culture. Well, some learners have said to us that it's subtle and disguised, and it's a culture of racism. But also the principal even confirmed in her own words that, yes, this is one thing that is frustrating her, the lack of hegemony between what I would say white educators and black educators.
Yeah, but you do highlight that that greeting is important to some extent, and you talk about how it speaks to the culture, but you've also talked about how it is because the white educators are not able to differentiate between a black educator and a cleaner.
Yes, that's what the investigative law firm was told during the investigation, that the white educators, they don't know if a black educator is a teacher or a cleaner, and sometimes they just pass them. But that's when, remember, when you're investigating and you're interviewing people, they will tell you these things. So it's what the law firm, the investigative law firm, was told by some of the interviews.
Yeah. Talk to me about why it was necessary to hold the briefing and have an update on action that needs to be taken after we had already seen in recent months the suspension of the principal, the deputy principal, even after action was taken against those 12 white girls. So why was it important for the department to speak up about what's happening in the school at this point, even though there was a sense that the department had some level of intervention?
Remember, the decision to appoint a law firm to go investigate was based on the uproar that we're getting, and also the concern and the emails by the public that there is an issue at the school, and it's related to also the patterns that have been happening coming up for the 2016 issue, the 2020 matter, the recent one, and many other ones that were certainly taking place in the school, that there is something to investigate, an issue that needs to be investigated. What could be the basis of these splinter events that occur from time to time at the school?
Yeah.
And that's why we took that decision. But also, furthermore, we expanded the framework of the terms of reference for the law firm to say you don't just investigate the general working of the institution. What could be the key challenges? That's why we're able to determine the conduct of the husband to the principal, the appointment of the finance manager at the school, etc., etc.
Yeah. What's the steps now? I know that one of the recommendations by the investigating attorney is that action be taken against chair of the SGB. What are the next steps then for the Gauteng Education Department?
What we generally do when we get this recommendation, of course, we are going to implement them. But before we implement them, we get the report. We then apply our own minds in terms of looking at the piece of legislation. What needs further probing? Because Remember, the investigative law firms are usually given a time frame to do the work. And sometimes that time frame can actually limit in terms of the data they will get to come to a conclusive the recommendation. So we look at them, and where we feel that, okay, here they've done a thorough work, we then implement accordingly. Where we feel that we need further probing, we then probe. Where we feel that we can't action, we don't action. But we take the report and then we're going to look at it. So, but we are going to act on it. It depends on how we're going to be acting on which aspect and which ones will not be acting on.
Okay, so we've talked about the culture that you were addressing at Pretoria Girls High. Let's talk about education in Gauteng and some of the challenges that you flagged, especially during this imbizo that you have held. Some alarming numbers there. 245 schools in this province that you've identified as high risk for learners, the plan of action and how you got to that quite alarming number.
Yeah, we did that. That is the research that we did. They are not high-risk schools. They are schools at risk in area. When we say schools at risk, we are informed by the area that they are located. Largely, those areas we find that obviously because the school is a microcosm of the community. If there's gangsterism in the community, it will always find itself into the school. If there are challenges of violence in the community, it finds themselves into the school. So that's how we identified it. Also, we look at other aspects of incidents, how the frequency of incidents of bullying, vandalism, etc. So we looked at all of those so that we can determine. So out of that, we found 75 that were in the red. And these are schools that are plagued with gangsterism and school violence, etc. A lack of learner discipline. And those schools, then we created a customized intervention. For instance, how we deal with the school in Westbury. We're not going to deal with the same way as the school in Tembisa because the challenges are different. Westbury are dealing with extreme gangsterism in those areas. But in Tembisa, you're dealing with pure learner discipline in the school and obviously extreme violence as well. So you then intervene based on how the challenges per school. So the 75 is what we're dealing with. And working closely with the community. And that was the whole purpose of the imbizo, to call on the community, to call on the parents, and really stakeholders who have an interest in getting our sector right, education sector right, to come on board, to work with us to ensure that we protect and safeguard our schools.